What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line on Sports. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. He's Jeremy Pink, and this is our show. Oh, I've been up all night. This is our
Right?
show where the intersection of sports and money
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah. I was trying to acknowledge, myself. But anyway,
Well,
it
see, I
happens.
thought, hey,
Happens.
have I screwed up again? Because it's
No, no,
been
no. That
known
was
to
that was
happen.
that was me doing something that had unintended consequences as usual. That's fine.
And
Yeah.
we like to start every show with a little number. But first, you need to subscribe, rate, review. 5 stars only. Otherwise, we'll send Guido and Luigi to come look for you. The number this week,
The number this week is $3.1 million. And that number, Mr. Taylor, is
a check
the
that you're
current.
cutting.
Say again? The
A
check that I'm
check that you're
cutting
cutting.
you. I'll cut you the check. I just wouldn't cash it. The $3.1 million number is the winning purse that the Kentucky Derby winner will take home this year, that the owner will take home.
And I
3.1.
feel bad. The Kentucky Derby, the fastest 2 minutes in sports, is this weekend.
It's first
I didn't
Saturday in
know,
May.
I didn't know that until I think yesterday. And I
Uh,
felt bad because it seems like I should know when the Derby is coming up. And ironically enough, I talked to somebody this weekend. He's a retired NFL coach. And I said, hey, so what are you doing with your life these days? And you know what he told me? He said, I'm into horses. I said, really? He's like, yeah, I got one good one and a bunch of nags. He said he had some horse that won a stakes race. And then we started talking about horses. And for whatever reason, after that, that's when I found out that the Derby was this week.
so are you going to watch it or not?
Okay, I do. I say this about the Derby every year. If I remember to be by TV
Uh-huh.
at 5 o'clock, I'll watch it. The odds of me remembering to be by TV at 5 o'clock are slim, but it could happen.
Right. So did you think the $3.1 million was a lot or a little, or you didn't really have any gauge?
I didn't really have a good gauge for it because now here's what's interesting to me. When I started at the Dallas Morning News in 1992, horse racing was a big deal. Like we had a beat writer for horse racing.
Hmm.
Name was Randy West, Gary West, Randy Moss. No, it's Randy Moss. Matter of fact, you may have seen him on ESPN some. But he covered horse racing.
Yeah.
And our boss, our sports editor, the great Dave Smith, who changed the way sports sections work in America, he was big into horse racing. And when Dallas got a horse track like 20 years ago, dude, it was like some of the biggest news ever, maybe 25 years ago. And so I've been around horses in terms of I understand it, but it seems like such an old man sport that it just I never really got into it.
Yeah. I understand that, and you're right. The demographics of the sport are skewing older. I bet if you looked at the demographics of the sport 20 years ago, and they said the average viewer was 45 years old, I think if you
Yeah,
look
it's
at
probably
the demographics of
65
sports
now.
today, it's 65 exactly. But I was surprised by I thought 3.1 million was low for like a winner. The winner of
Because
the
that's the whole purse. So like, what's the winner
the,
get?
the whole purse is 5 million, which I think is really small. That's
Okay.
like 3 games for SGA, I think. That's really small.
Yeah.
And then the biggest purse is something called the Breeders' Cup, which is at 7 million. But it tells you that what the real value of the Derby is, that the amount of money gambled on the Derby is incredible. And that's where money is really made on in relation to the Derby.
How do you know based off of the purse?
Well, no. I just the amount of money. So the amount there's a measure of the amount of money that's gambled in every horse race, and
Right.
this is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, which is an
Oh,
enormous amount of money for it's not an enormous amount of money, but it's a significant amount of money for a single event, particularly to your point when it's horse racing. And I would guess that if I walked out on the streets of New York tomorrow and I asked 10 people when's the Kentucky Derby, three at maximum might know when it is. I
like
I would say five maximum would know it's a horse race.
no, I got you. It's I feel kind of like that. I was trying to figure out that like like I don't even know if like there's some horse we're supposed to be watching, like Seabiscuit or Secretariat. Is there some badass horse that's going to be in this
You know,
race,
that
or will
that
we
I
not know until the race is over?
yeah, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know. I haven't not looked into it. I only looked into the money side of it, but I
Well,
was
not
just
yet.
good.
And I was going to say you're right because this is the kind of race I would bet on, knowing nothing. I'd be like, I like that dude Silks, that purple and gold. I rock with that. Give me $3 to win, $2 to place, and $1 to show.
There you go. There you go. But it's in the accessibility of sports gambling now is so much greater that it'll be I didn't look at it, but I'll look at like the ratings, television ratings over the last 5 years, and I bet you'll see a growth in viewership that's sort of commensurate with the growth in sports gambling as well. Maybe not perfectly in lockstep, but I bet you it's directionally the same.
Oh no, I think that's a really good point, and I bet you're right. I want to know who's the favorite to win the Derby. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like I have no idea who's running in the Derby, you know. Uh I just remember there's a horse about 15, 20 years ago named Big Brown. That's the only horse that I remember recently. Yeah.
Okay,
Who
here we go.
yeah,
Here we
okay.
go.
Who
Renegade is the favorite, 4-1.
uh-huh.
Common Commandment is 6-1. Further Ado, 6-1. Chief Wallaby, 8-1, and the Puma is 10-1.
So there
I'm rocking
isn't
with the Puma.
right, I understand.
I
So
like that name.
but it sounds to me like there isn't a clear favorite then. You've got a
Yeah, you
lot of
don't.
horses clustered in 4, 6, and 8-1, which makes me think there's not a clear favorite. We could be like, the likelihood then is that we may see a horse emerge out of this and really make a
Yep.
run for the Triple Crown, or you might see, a sea of, kind of comparable horses and it becomes boring.
Yeah, I just like the brown ones with the diamond on the forehead.
There you go. It's all good. But no,
That's
yeah, Contenders is a great spectacle. It's a great race.
You know what? You've convinced me. I'm gonna watch it this weekend. I'm gonna put it. I got a. I've been so busy working on my project. I've got 100-inch screen that I only watch special events on. I'm gonna turn the derby on that and turn the surround sound all the way up and capture those 2 minutes right there. I've decided just right
Uh,
now that's what I'm gonna do at like 5:04 on Saturday.
so well, no, it's at yeah, Central Time. I think it actually starts at around 6:40 Central. No, I'm sorry,
The
6:40
prime
Eastern Time.
time race.
6:40 Eastern Time.
Okay, all
Six
right, that's a little
45.
better.
But
That's a
but
little better.
I have just so you know, I'm having dinner with one of my best friends from
I'm not
Duke.
in time.
But one of my best friends who I like from Duke and not from Ohio State, but and I made the dinner at 7 and I'm getting there at making sure I get to the restaurant at about 6:45 so I can watch the race on my phone and then have dinner. That's
Okay.
my plan. Yeah.
Simulcast approximately 5:30. That
5:30.
must be
Okay, so I need to get there earlier. Okay.
that's
Yeah,
probably
6:30
Central Time.
Eastern. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Now we've solved all the Derby issues. 3.1 million in purse. That's our number for the day. Let's move on to another interesting number, which is it's always curious. The NFL draft last week, uh, and you can bitch and moan and complain about the NFL, but I got to tell you, that machine knows how to make money.
For
And
sure.
so, for years and years and years, like, how do you think this meeting went? For years and years and years, the draft is in New York City at Madison Square Garden. And one day in one meeting, somebody said, "Hey, what if we had this draft somewhere else,
Hmm.
some other city? Do you think people would show up?" And somebody said, "Well, I don't know. What kind of loser would show up for a draft?" And somebody else said, "I don't know. It's a chance to get near. There's everybody's feeling hopeful because
Right.
the draft is like spring flowers. Everybody's got hope for the next season. I
Uh-huh.
think we could make a big deal out of it. Okay, let's ask Roger if that sounds like a good idea."
Yeah.
And now every year the draft is somewhere different, man, and it's like the biggest spectacle ever.
It's a huge event. It was a record number. I wrote down the number and I can't find it now, but it was like a record crowd that attended this event. And you know what it costs to get into this event?
You see that look on my face?
Nothing.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't know people were paying to get
No, no,
into it.
no. But because you have these huge and people are showing up.
Oh, I will tell you what they're doing though.
I, I can't imagine. What are tell me what they're doing.
Okay, what they're see. This again. This is genius. This is like what's the $2 wine
Two
at
buck two buck chuck at Trader Joe's?
this is like $2 Chuck at Trader Joe's. You don't have to pay anything to come to the draft. Nothing. Come on down, have a great time. But we got your favorite team
Oh,
hat
sure.
logo
Sure.
there for $85.
Uh-huh.
We got golf shirts. We got jerseys. Hey, I saw this on TV or somewhere. Not only can you get it, but you can get a hat, and they got like an embroiderer there. You can stitch your name on the hat or your first round draft
Brilliant.
pick. Like,
That's so
you
smart.
know, so yeah, come for free, hang out, have a great time. We'll get you $14 for an 8-ounce beer, $27 for a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And I don't really mind it, man, because I'm all for economic growth and development and impact. And what they bring in, a couple 100,000 in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, some crazy number. It was a record number who watched the draft. And I was looking at economic impact over cities over the last couple of years, and they're essentially suggesting that the economic impact to a city that hosts a draft could be upwards of 200 to $250 million over the weekend. So you've got cities clamoring to do this.
Now you
Yeah,
make more money because what? Everybody's got to bid for it now.
yeah.
We're in Green Bay last year, Pittsburgh. Where are they next year? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I just can't believe that many people go because what do you do? What do you do
Dude,
there? First of all,
you
you
know
have to
what happens, man? It just becomes an event. It's like the place to be. Because check it out, it's only going to be here once. Like if you go like when's the next time the draft's coming to Pittsburgh? 20 years.
Yeah,
Because now everybody
probably.
wants it. So
Yeah,
it's going to rotate around the country.
yeah,
So it's an event. And again, football, the draft, they've made a spectacle of the draft. The draft's like this huge thing. You got people who have made millions predicting what players are good in the draft, and nobody cares if you're wrong.
right,
So, whether it's Joel Bushbaum, whether it's Mel Kiper, whether it's Todd McShay, all these people have made hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars
right.
on the draft because it's a cottage industry. And so you want to be there live in person when your team picks the next Hall of Famer, when your team picks the next Troy Aikman, the next Emmitt Smith, the next Bruce Smith, whoever, the next Franco Harris. I'm dating myself with all these names.
Yeah, I just can't believe anybody would actually show up to this thing,
No,
but I'm
I would
wrong.
never do that.
I'm wrong. Yeah.
But sometimes I know for sure me, and you might be somewhat jaded too. Although that's not really your personality to be jaded.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Oh no, never, never. Yeah.
but again, I've been a sports reporter my entire life, really. I'm talking about my whole life. I've been a sports reporter, whether I was in high school, whether I was in college, whether I was a professional. I've been a sports reporter. So sometimes I can be jaundiced to the idea that people would say, "What a great deal it is to just be in the midst," because that's like going to work, dog. Why would you do
Right, right, exactly.
that?
Yeah.
I don't like crowds. I don't want to congest. I don't want to do none of that.
Hmm.
But if you're not around it all the time, it's a huge event. It's like the Super Bowl. People come to the Super Bowl just because it's an event, and you just want to be in the midst and the
Right.
excitement, and you just want to be there.
But nothing happens. There's an announcement of like 30 names, and I
It's
could
the anticipation, man.
I guess so. I guess so. But anyway, listen, I'm whatever the case is, I'm wrong. I also don't like to be in like lots of other people talking to me at once. So that I also don't like. So
No, it's
uh,
a wild deal, but it's a. I think a lot of it is you get together with your boys and a group
yeah,
of
I
four or
see that.
five go,
Yeah, yeah.
and again, it's just hope and hype, man. Like because every team that picks in the first round thinks that their guy is going to be a Hall of Famer. This is the guy who's either going to get us over the top and we can win the Super Bowl because we're a playoff team next year, or this is a guy we stunk last year. This is a guy that's going to turn our franchise around, and now we'll be good. And it's all that hype and it's all the build up
Yeah.
to this
Listen, it
one
brings
moment.
it it brings in big money. It gets very it gets decent television ratings, although I think this year's ratings were down. There wasn't that much intrigue in this year's draft. I think you had,
Like, yeah, but check out next year's draft
oh,
when
next
it's
year's draft is
supposed to
going
be
to be
one.
crazy. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
crazy.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
wild. And
Yeah,
so it's I think the economic development is cool because I always think about, because I am one. I always think about the small business owner, who, whether they got whatever it is, they reap the benefit from that. Maybe they had a food truck, maybe they had, and I'm not talking about just that event, because people showed up for 2 days or 3 days.
for sure, for
And
sure.
so it's you're walking around town, you spending money over here, you spending money over there. It's just it's a way. So yeah, the NFL gets over, they made all the money, but it's good that the little guy can make a couple of dollars along the way when you bring something like this to your
Agreed.
city.
Agreed. No, I think that is because it's attracting such a crowd. It's good. It has, positive impact across the board, and particularly, you're right, probably for some small business. And also, the difference between the NFL and other sports is the NFL is truly, NBA maybe a little bit, but the NFL is truly a national sport. It's not a regional sport like baseball. And
Right.
so if Pittsburgh hosts it, the entire country is focused on Pittsburgh. And if Green Bay
Yeah.
hosts it, the entire country is focused on Green Bay. So that has also a visibility, an image, potentially image building positive impact for the city. So I get all of that. And it makes a lot of sense. And it's great that it's a good event and it puts money in people's pockets. I
But you
just can't
still ain't going.
imagine why anybody would go, but that's just me.
I was gonna say, but you still ain't going.
No way.
It's I think it's a cool deal. And again, I'm like you. I wouldn't go, but I understand why people do go.
That's your,
So the bottom line for me is the NFL draft. You bringing all that money in. I used to be a bellman and I was a valet, and all those people got paid last week because the hotels are
that's true.
full, the
That's true.
restaurants are full, everybody's feeling good, the tips are better, and so I'm all for the little guy making money, and that's what it did. That's what it sounds like it did for me, and what it's doing for cities every time the draft comes.
Bottom line for me is there's no way I would ever attend a draft in person because I don't think anything happens. However, I see, I guess I understand the appeal, but more importantly, I see the really positive economic impact it has for a city. And to your point, some of the smaller vendors and businesses that surround the event.
All right, let's talk about the next topic we have. Is a very depressing topic to me, but I have an idea. I wish they would do this idea. This blew my mind, what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let me just tell the story. So, one of my first years covering high school sports in Ohio. I'm from Texas. I go to Ohio State. I get a job, and I'm covering high school basketball for the Columbus Dispatch.
With who is your partner covering high school basketball? There
This
you
guy
go.
here,
Yeah, me.
one Jeremy Pink.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to a district, some kind of meeting where they were going to determine who was going to play each other in the tournament.
hmm
And I walked in and I said, like, because I'm not from Ohio, I'm like, where's the bracket so I can da 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 da. And it was a big meeting of all the coaches because in Ohio at that particular time, everybody was eligible for the tournament. And they put the bracket out, and however you were seated, you get to pick your spot on the bracket, which I was like, well, this is kind of cool. So here's my thing. I can't stand the fact that 76 teams are going to play now in the NCAA tournament. That's going to be what it is next year. It's going to be 76 teams. Everybody and mama's in the tournament. Who cares? If you can't make the tournament, I want to hear not a nary single solitary word from your butt.
Right.
That being said, why not just have an open bracket and everybody gets to 1 through 76? The teams are ranked by the committee, and you get to pick your spot on the bracket. That'll make it exciting. Because Selection Sunday, dude, who cares? Everybody's in.
Right. Right. Yeah, so Selection Sunday becomes more, you're right. Selection Sunday becomes about, which bracket is stronger, excuse me, which bracket is stronger, which bracket is weaker, and, is my team, treated fairly or not.
Right.
But I think you bring up the sort of the most cogent point of this is that this to me is further devaluation and erosion of the meaningfulness of the regular season in college basketball.
Most
But
definitely.
nobody watches college basketball regular season except, on the local basis, you watch your team. But the NCAA tournament, particularly the men and the women's tournament these days too, is actually, attracting a pretty good audience. Um, the men's tournament is a huge moneymaker. So what they've done is just extended the window on the money making piece of this and compressed the non-money making piece of this. And it makes
I'm a,
it
I'm a,
makes total economic sense to me.
I'm gonna make you shed friend tears right now from what I'm about to say. This feels to me like private equity is taking over the tournament. Go
This is
ahead, get
this
your friend tears out.
actually, you know what this is? This is to me, this is actually showing that it's not private equity, but you've got conferences that are now driving most
Yeah,
television deals and most decisions. You've got conferences that are looking up and going, we got to pay players now. We got a lot of costs. So we
yeah.
got to figure out how do we pay everybody more? How do we recoup our costs? An extra, week or an extra few days of NCAA tournament games, that's a good thing for us in conferences, and we need that in order to keep this thing going. So it's to me that's what this is for right now.
Yeah. Oh no. See, I mean, and like the Big Ten, I think the Big Ten has like 18 teams this year.
Yeah, it's I think it
They'll
is
have
18.
15 in the tournament next year. The SEC has got however many teams they've got.
Yeah,
They'll have 85% of their teams in the tournament next year. And then, all those teams get a check for getting to the tournament,
right.
which is more money for the conference. And that's why I said it felt like a private equity play to me, because somebody came in and took all the value out and took all the money,
Oh, right,
and they
right. I see what you're
devalued the
saying.
regular
Yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying.
And so
Yeah,
we have a shell of what we know, but everybody got paid.
yeah.
Um,
So you
that's
think
why I
that
thought
you
to
think
me,
that highly of private equity? That's good. Yeah. So, but
uh,
but I understand your point. That's a very good analogy. I totally understand your point. It is. I just you get to a point where you reach a saturation level, and are you oversaturating it, or am I just crazy? We're not going to reach that
well,
saturation
see,
level.
I mean, here's the thing, and we saw it this year and we saw it last year. Okay, you can have this tournament, okay? You can have 76 teams in there, but it feels like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, the age of Cinderella is over, because the mid-major players who would be good,
They're going
they get paid to go play for a real team.
like Duke.
So, yes, like Duke. So you used to have a team like Butler or Gonzaga
Yeah.
or Valparaiso that's got five seniors that have been playing together all
Mhm.
for 4 years.
Mhm.
Everybody knows where to roll. They can run their offense with their eyes closed. And that team's a threat. George Mason. And that's how you can wind up with a Cinderella making a run. Well, that team would never stick together now, because the best player is going to go and I'm not mad at the best player, but the best player is going to go make $1 million and go play at Ohio State. Or he's going to make $750,000 going to play at Cincinnati or whatever. He ain't going to play for you, because you can only pay him, $200,000. He's like, Coach Pink, I love you, man.
Yeah.
Alabama's paying me 1.5. I got to go.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't even matter. Like, I saw a kid, and I know his dad. He was probably a 4-star recruit.
Hmm.
He was a freshman. He may have even redshirted a year. He may have. Freshman role player, had a really nice tournament. He went from role player all season and had a really nice tournament. Well, he left Texas to go to SMU. Now, Texas, let's not Texas. There's no comparison between Texas's program
Yeah.
and SMU's program. And he would have started at Texas next year. But I'm sure SMU cut him a much bigger check. And he was like, I love the Longhorns,
Uh-huh.
but
Right.
the ponies,
Right.
they playing that paper. I got to go. And so, uh, you know, I ain't mad at him.
Right.
Congratulations. But that's why you won't get any of these teams, these mid majors that stick together. So it's all about the Power Four conferences and who survives there, just like it was this year,
It,
where
it's
the
really
Final Four is the big boys.
it's really becoming a story of the power of two conferences. And if you actually saw how dominant the Big Ten was in
Woo!
the NCAA tournament this year, it's all in the Big Ten is likely it was certainly going to be have a number of teams as national title contenders in football. They've won three football titles for 3 years, and the national title 3 years in a row in football. You realize these Big Ten schools, one thing about them is they're big,
That's why
and
they're the Big Ten.
they have a lot of wealthy alumni, and they have a huge fan base, and they can pay players more. And you are starting to see a separation of the Big Ten from the other conferences right now.
Yeah,
And it's going to become, but then there's pockets of teams in certain conferences that actually can punch and have the ability to punch in the same weight class as the Big Ten, like the Texas is, the Texas Techs, the Notre Dames, et cetera, et cetera. And I think what we're going to find is, to your point, a greater concentration of big schools with big alumni bases and the ability to attract a lot of money that are going to be dominating the highest tier of college football and college basketball.
and if you're an alum of one of those, it's
Right.
cool.
Yeah,
And
it's
if you're
great.
not, you're like, how are we supposed to compete? And it's like, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
It's
Like
great, but
Texas has got like $1 billion endowment. Texas A&M has got like one. Theirs is even bigger. Like they've got as much money as they need to
yeah,
do whatever it is they want to do.
but even look at the AC, look at the ACC, which for us growing up really always was the basketball conference. The ACC can't attract the players now because they don't have the money. The only schools that really have the money are some of the bigger schools like Duke and Florida. And if you actually look to see which schools actually have have a lot of money and large alumni and wealthy alumni, it's those schools. But a lot of the ACC it's not doing particularly well in basketball anymore. Not nearly sort of the tradition of the
No, kind
ACC.
of like Duke and Carolina, and even Carolina hadn't been Carolina of late,
Yeah, Carolina
which is why they fired the coach.
yeah, and Carolina is not competitive bidding for some of the top players like like the Dukes or the Floridas. I mean, that's the key right now. So you're going to have a tournament of 76 teams. There's going to be probably about five that can win a national title. And here's a dirty little secret. If you had a tournament of 32 teams, there's going to be
Right?
about five that can win a national title, you know?
Yeah, no, that's about right.
Yeah, so the 32 to 76 or 64 to 68 to 76. Listen, it's a smart financial move for the conferences and for the schools, for sure.
Yeah, but the bottom line for me is, man, I just hate it. Because I mean, the regular season literally means nothing now. I mean, literally nothing. You can go 15 and 15, you're going to get a tournament bid.
Mhm.
Oh, my strength of schedule was so tough. And so you'd like to see the regular season mean something, but it means nothing now. And here's the thing, I still don't think the mid majors are going to get it in because they're still going to hold it against them.
Right.
So that's my bottom line. And moving on to the
I,
part of the show that I'm sorry, did you give your bottom line?
I didn't,
I started.
I'm feeling deeply insulted because I have such an incredible thing to say, which is the bottom line for me is people are going to people are still going to watch it. They're still going to make money from it, but the same 5 to 8 teams are going to be contending for the national title every year.
How about it?
All right.
Um, and now the part of the show that everybody loves the most is the Ohio State corner. Somehow, USA Today, I think this is just a clickbait thing, has picked the Buckeyes to be number one in the nation on their preseason, way too early for preseason football poll. The Buckeyes are number one. What are you looking at the poll? Because
Yeah,
Texas should be like number one or number
Texas
two.
is in the top three. I mean, it's and they're basing it on spring practice and spring games following. So what I can
You
tell you,
lose 11 players to
yeah,
the draft, and somebody go, "Oh, you're
right,
still number one."
right. And it's like last year, Ohio State was much lower because they lost so many players and they were able to replace them. And it was kind of surprising to a lot of people that Ohio State did so well. Here's the reality. Nobody knows, at this point. No, nobody knows. And there's going to be a surprise that emerges, but much like the NCAA basketball tournament, I think we know the group of schools where the surprise is going to emerge. There's probably 6 teams in the Big Ten, maybe 3 teams in the SEC, maybe 4, Notre Dame, and maybe an outlier in the ACC like Miami, which again, Miami's program has come back because it's a big school and because there's a lot of wealthy alumni there. So those are the types of schools that I think are going to challenge next year.
No, I think you're right. I think we're all interested to see what Indiana does. But next year's the year of the quarterbacks. A bunch of really outstanding college quarterbacks. The game for me, not that I'm breaking news here, has always been about the quarterback.
Yep.
And so it'll be, which quarterbacks make the most improvement. Like, obviously down here in Texas, I get more Arch Manning news than I can handle.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't believe in Arch Manning. He still looks like just a guy to me. Well, okay, that's harsh. He's better than that, but I haven't seen anything that says, oh, Arch Manning is special. I haven't seen anything that says that because here's why. If they would just say, hey, Arch, go play football, he might be that guy because, you say what you want to. He's got really good speed. And if they just said, hey, if you don't see what you like, take off and go run for 20 yards, they would really be a more dynamic offense. But you know what the daddy and the uncles have said.
Yeah.
Sark, you better teach that boy how to read defenses, stay in the pocket, and deliver the ball.
Yeah.
So because they ask him to do that, he's really not as dynamic as he could be. And he is yet, now he don't care about proving nothing to little old JJT here. But he has not proved that he can step back in the pocket, play quarterback, and beat you on a regular basis. So until he does that against good teams, I don't believe it. Now, the rest of the team is really good, but, hey.
I was watching some Arch Manning highlights for some inexplicable reason in the last week. I think I was reading some story and then they were playing some Arch Manning highlights on it. And one thing to my extremely untrained eye, and so this observation in $3 will get you a cup of coffee, right? But to my untrained eyes watching Arch Manning and watching a lot of his highlights his highlights were all when the receivers were pretty open. His ball placement was not great. And I was thinking, if he's going to really take it to the next level, I think he's got to work mostly on his accuracy. But I agree with you. But I agree with you that his speed his running abilities is actually really very elite from what I can tell. But and to me, the biggest thing, you need a certain level of arm strength. You don't need sort of the Jeff George, I can throw it 70 yards.
Right.
Again, me dating myself here, but you sort of you don't need the Josh Allen cannon arm. But what you do need is ability to be accurate and place the ball well. That I don't see from him. I don't know in your experience when you cover quarterbacks, is accuracy and ball placement something you can develop, or is that something
you can definitely develop it. You can definitely develop it because a lot of it's technique. Now, obviously, some people are naturally gifted, but a lot of it is technique. Are your feet where your eyes are? Are your eyes and your feet mirrored? And all the technical, mechanical stuff.
But wouldn't somebody like Arch Manning shouldn't he theoretically have all of that technique more than almost anybody else, except for maybe like Todd Marinovich, that sort of thing?
Check this out, man. At one level, you would say yes. At another level, you would say, real talk, like Peyton's son will have it, in my opinion. Why? Because Peyton's retired and Peyton's working with his son every day because he's in the house with him. Eli's son, if Eli's son plays football, he'll have it for the same reasons. You got to remember, Cooper, he grew up, his uncles were playing. And so, yeah, he hung out and got tutored by them in the summer or the spring or whatever. But that's different than, hey, come on out and let's go get your footwork straight for an hour tonight before you go to this trainer I got you with. Or let's sit up in the den and read defenses, an hour before you go to bed. That's just proximity. And so he got, the best of what he could get. But he still didn't get, I live with Peyton. I live with Eli. And it's part of my daily, everyday life.
Right. So that bodes well for his development at Texas next year, assuming they have,
Yeah,
the
like
staff that can develop him.
Texas got a great team on paper. I mean, they got everything you want. They literally got everything you want. It's a matter of whether Arch plays good in the playoffs because they'll
Right.
be there.
Right.
And I mean, all those teams are going to be like that. Like Ohio State's going to be really good, but they'll be as good as however Julian's saying is. At the end of the day, that's how good they'll be. Um,
Right. Right. I also think you were saying last week, and you're right, is that for Ohio State, they got to get a they got to get an A runner in the backfield. They have, Bo Jackson's good. He's a B plus. Maybe he moves up to A level, but they got to get a top runner in there.
yeah,
I meant to ask you in the NFL draft thing, just to veer away from this. What did you think about Jeremiah Love going so high in the draft? Were you surprised by that? Did you think that made sense? Does that have any? Is it
those
mean
are all
running
good
back is
questions.
becoming more meaningful? I'm just curious what you think
Uh,
about that.
Number one, I was surprised, but it's the Cardinals, so they made a dumb pick in my opinion.
So you think
Dumb-
you do think it was a dumb pick
It's a dumb pick because they don't have a passing game, they don't have a right tackle, they don't have any other things
to
that will
support
help
him?
make him
Yeah,
successful.
yeah, yeah.
Like Ashton Genty might have been a really good running back. You couldn't tell because they didn't have anything to make him successful last year. Um, but I think the running game is coming back more. These things run in cycles. Um, but maybe they'll build the offense around him, and so it won't matter as much. Maybe they'll throw it to him, hand it to him, and let him go crazy. Now the other theory is we're going to put the team together this year. We'll get the quarterback in the draft next year, and now we already got the running back. Hopefully, Marvin Harrison with a new offense coordinator, new offense will be what we thought he was going to be. And now we got an elite running back, we got an elite receiver, we got an elite quarterback. We ready to go. I'm
Right.
sure that's what they're thinking. Nobody asked for my opinion except you. NFL teams spend way too much time worried about positional value, this or that. Can a 12 let a cuss word play? That's all I
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
play?
yeah.
And are you a difference maker?
Hmm.
If so, like whether okay, so let's take Jeremiah Love. It's too high to take a running back. Okay, if I told you was getting Derrick Henry for the next 10 years, you good?
Yeah,
Well,
right,
yeah, I'm
right,
good.
right.
Like the cows, I don't want to take Caleb Downs. He's a safety. He's too high for a safety. If I told you was getting Ed Reed, you good?
Hmm.
Yeah, you good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, now you could say Taylor, those dudes are Hall of Famers. Well, I know, but that's what people say. These people have this capability. They
yeah.
just
No, and
play a position that you don't value.
yeah, and
So
it's interesting you talk about Hall of Famers because the talk of the draft experts and a lot of the opinions that I see on it are the player most likely to enter the Hall of Fame from this draft is Caleb Downs, and he
yeah,
went number 11, which by the way was we both picked the over under on Ohio State players being drafted in the top 10 last week was 3.5. There was three because Caleb went number 11. Uh, yeah, I was sort of surprised by that pick, but I also was kind of watching the picks in the draft. Now we're veering way off Ohio State, but I was watching the picks in the draft and was looking to see which teams this year seem to be drafting far more for need than the best player. And that maybe I don't know why that was. Maybe that's a function of there wasn't that sort
I
of,
think the function is there weren't that many great players.
yeah,
Like,
that's what I was that's what
uh,
I thought, but I wasn't sure.
see, like, and this is just a gauge. Most drafts had between 14 and 18 players with a first round grade. So obviously, if you're taking 23, you might be taking somebody with a second round grade, but I mean, 32 guys got to go in the first round.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
is what it is. The Cowboys this year, after the draft, said they had 12 players with a first round grade.
Do you believe that or not?
Yeah, they always say after the draft, they always say what they
Oh,
have.
okay. So it's okay. Yeah,
Um, because it's after the draft, so it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Like next year, when you look at the draft, I said most years it's 14 to 18. Next year, there might be 22
Hmm.
with first round grades. And so you're
Hmm.
getting a much better player.
Mhm.
The other thing is somebody pointed this out with NIL money. It's sometimes it's better for you to stay in school,
Sure.
make more money, enhance your technique and your draft stock, and be big man on campus than it is to go be a pro.
But I also right, and I also have this other theory, which is that when you enter the NFL draft now, as opposed to 5 years ago, you want to make sure that you are NFL ready and you're going to get paid in the NFL as a player. And
Yeah,
if you're not, you stay in, try to develop your technique. So I think the draft has become less of a gamble on a
yeah,
lot of players, particularly in the first couple of rounds, because a lot of players can come right in and play right now, and that's a function of NIL and players being cognizant of their relative value in the draft. And so
right.
I so that I thought was one of the aspects of it. So as you look at Ohio State's team, it, you look at Ohio State, you look at Julian saying, if he has a year like he did last year, I don't believe no, he can come out at the end of next year, I think. You think he'll be if he has a year similar to the one that he had this year, think he'll be a top 10 pick?
I really don't know. I mean, there's so many quarterbacks out there. I mean, they're going to go all, they're going to go all over the place. A lot of it will just be determined,
Or you think
you
he'll be
know.
a first round pick?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So that's yeah, and
Because he's going to put up numbers,
yeah.
and they're going to win. How much they win, who knows? But they're going to win, and he'll have his share. And I mean, he had an outstanding first year as a starter.
Of course. Of course.
Now, his problem is he's just a little small. So
Yeah.
he needs to be in the weight room, picking up some weight, so that he can convert a quarterback sneak because he's not so light in the ass.
Yeah, so so we've got so Jeremiah Love, not Jeremiah Love, Jeremiah Smith, and Julian Sand are almost surefire first rounders for Ohio State next year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt. No doubt. And then, they may add another
remarkable.
couple. They may add another couple people
Yeah,
we don't know about yet, people we haven't heard of. They probably got a corner.
yeah. Hey, Davis Igbinosun even went. He went like end of the second round, I think. So
Dude, yeah, I mean, and he's an interesting player. He's got great size and stuff. And it'll be interesting to see if they let him play in the league because he had like 15 PIs 2 years ago. He only had
yeah,
like a couple last year.
I think he's a really really high ceiling player, but he could have he could also flame out flame out after 6 games as well. I don't know, but listen, I think Ohio State, like every year, is going to reload. There's going to be a lot of players who make it in the first round of the draft. Are they going to have three in the top 10 next year? They'll have at least two, I think, with Sayin and Jeremiah Smith.
That's interesting. Like I don't know if Sain's going in the top 10, but he might.
If he's a quarterback and he's had success in college and he's had more than 20 starts and he's at a major program like Ohio State, I think he goes in the top. I think he goes in the top 10 for sure.
All right, we'll have to make a preseason bet about that.
Okay, sure.
All right, cool. Well, I guess folks we'll check out now. It's been a riveting conversation.
There's nothing left to say. Yeah.
We've expended all our energy and all our conversations. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. We could use your help. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Until we chat again, for Jeremy Pink, I'm Jean Jacques Taylor. We'll holler at you.
All right. We'll see you next week.